Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! I'm 26 years old, and I decided to open my own business this year. Moving forward in this post, I should point out that I'm from a small town, 1,000 people, in the rural Midwest. Because of this, everyone has some sort of connection with someone. We went to one of our liquor stores in the closest city 30-ish minutes away, small city, 8,000 people. When we were grabbing some alcohol for a party, I was looking at the prices and saw how insane the prices were. For a six-pack of a local beer, we were charged $15. I was thinking about this and figured that I could probably make bank opening a liquor store. Back in February, I was furious about my job and thinking out loud how cool it would be to own my own business to a friend. My friend's mom happened to be the president of the local bank. He told me, hey, with the pandemic, the bank has been struggling to find customers to give out loans. Right now, the bank is giving loans for cheap. A couple of weeks later, I went in and met with my friend's mom and pitched my idea with the research I had done on alcohol prices, potential demand, and estimated income. And I eventually got the loan with a fantastic interest rate. I bought a building which happened to be the former bank and hired my dad to help me renovate the building. My dad is a general contractor, and he gave me an excellent quote on materials and labor. After working everything out with the distributors, getting the proper licenses, and getting my paperwork I needed for the government, I was ready to open my liquor store in May. I had started taking out ads in the local newspaper advertising my store and my prices. When I was in talks with my distributors, I learned even with inflation and everything else, the liquor stores in a city had like 80% markup. I talked to a local business owner and he suggested that I have around the 35% to 40% markup. Because of this, I was significantly cheaper than the closest liquor store and had a much wider selection than the gas stations and the small local stores nearby. My hometown is near a national forest, and as such we have a ton of people who come up for weekends for recreational activities year-round. My first week, the week before Memorial Weekend after opening, I had made a $4,000 profit. It was great being my own boss. If someone was rude to me or my girlfriend, oh, I'm sorry, you can do your business elsewhere. If someone tells my girlfriend go back to China, you witch, they can pay me 15% more at the register. Did the gang and I run out of alcohol? Time to grab my keys. Not car keys, the store keys. My apartment is like 2 blocks away, and go to the store. That's not to say that it wasn't difficult running my own business, especially that my only employee was my girlfriend, and we were both working 6 or 7 10 to 12-hour days a week. I was both manager, accountant, and cashier, but it's so much nicer knowing I can tell someone to pound sand for being a prick. Couple of weeks after Memorial Day, some old guy walked into my store a couple of minutes after I opened. He seemed friendly enough, but eventually he offered to buy my store. I'm not going to say the amount, but it wouldn't have been covered my principal on the loan. I rejected the proposal outright and refused to negotiate the sum higher. He walked out of my store saying, well, you'll be sorry you rejected that offer. The next month, a guy walked into my store and asked if I was the owner. After saying yes, I was informed that my business was being sued by this random guy I never heard of for slander. After he left, I was freaking out and I decided that I was going to close early. When I got home, I googled the guy and soon saw a picture of the guy that tried to buy my store. It turns out that this guy who owns both of the liquor stores in a nearby city, it also just so happens that he's on city council. With a little bit of further digging, I learned that the city has an ordinance that reads, any business institution that does not fulfill the definition of a restaurant, tavern, or liquor dispensary will be excluded from obtaining a license for the sale of alcohol. Later, I discovered that the same guy happens to be the head of the board which approves liquor licenses. I love small-town corruption. Either way, I had a major issue. My maternal uncle happens to be a lawyer in a neighboring state. I decided to call him and try to get some legal advice. I talked to him and read the documents that I had been handed/served over the phone and the research I had done. After receiving all of the information I had read off, I was expecting to get some sort of advice, but instead heard, hang on, I got to make a call, and he hung up. I am freaking out. I'll be honest, I just wanted someone to tell me it was going to be okay and I didn't need to crawl to this guy on my hands and knees. My uncle called back. Hey OP, I just got off the phone with my partner. He agreed that we can take your case pro bono. If you would like to accept, we can discuss at my office tomorrow at 1 o'clock. This is how I learned that my uncle is on the bar in 3 states. So we met and we discussed the case. It turns out that the guy filed a slander suit against my business based on the ads I took out in a local newspaper. He claimed that my ads were targeted to damage his and his business's reputation. There were a few other things that I had no idea what was being referenced, but my uncle assured me that we would win this case no problem. 3 weeks later, this case is dismissed. But after my uncle says people like that piece of work will likely try to file another suit against you, if that happens, call me, promise I will help. The next day, I get served again. But this time, I'm the defendant, not my store. Me. I swear to God, I looked at the documentation, and the only thing that changed was instead of my business's name, mine is listed as a defendant. Same thing happens. 4 weeks later, the case is dismissed. Over the next 3 months, I was sued just as many times. Before the 5th case hearing, we had a settlement meeting. My uncle, the judge, the guy suing me, his lawyer, a bailiff, and I were sitting in this room. Judge says, you two have been in court 4 times before. Is there any way we could come to an agreement that'll stop this cycle of faulty litigation? And the guy's lawyer says that they have an offer, and hands it to my uncle, who then hands it to me. It essentially read that he'll stop all litigation if I sell my business for about 30% of remaining loan principal. I outright rejected the offer and made a counter-offer. I said, if you drop this case, I won't sue you for harassment. And he busts out laughing. Sue me? With what money? The legal fees alone ought to have drained you. You should be happy I chose to extend this offer and not to sue your A into bankruptcy and buy that stinky place from the bank when they foreclose on you. The judge, the bailiff, and the guy's own lawyer were all looking at him aghast for saying the silent part out loud about the real reason I was getting sued. My uncle straight out said to him, "Oh, I'm sorry. Apparently you were never told. I have taken all of my nephew's case pro bono. The only money he has spent on your litigation is gas. And bluntly, sir, I think your outburst has just ensured a suit against you." After that, we just left, and I was informed a few days later that litigation was dropped. Right now, my uncle and I are talking about the future suit against the guy. I want to sue the guy for a very high amount to try and get press attention on this guy and his sketchy actions. Although my uncle warned me that we will need to be careful because if we set the damage is too high, it'll look like we're just being vindictive. The suit won't be pro bono, but after getting sued 5 times for free essentially, I'm not going to complain. Looking back on this, I'm so thankful that my friends and family supported the entire way, especially my uncle. Without my uncle, I would have absolutely lost my business. This one is a bit long. I'm an assistant teacher at a martial arts school. I've been working non-profit as a teacher and I have been certified in teaching at the school for 5 years now. I've seen all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds, but I've never had an encounter like the one that I had with an insane Karen last year. Our summers are busy. Lots of students of all ages are training to compete at a national level. We get more than our fair share of irresponsible and narcissistic dumping their demon children on us. But what I can easily say is the worst kind of person to teach is a kind who think that they know what they are doing. She had been attending classes for about a week and she was already unhinged, refusing to take instruction, ignoring other students, blaming us teachers for going too hard for her. We were doing the stuff toddlers can do, being weirdly evangelical and downright disrespecting and insulting other students and instructors. I remember her primary excuse as to why she wouldn't take instruction was, "You're smaller than me. Maybe you'd need to know this, but I'm stronger than that. And also, I'm older than you. You should be listening to me." And my personal favorite, "Only the church can tell me what to do." Karen was not a small woman, easily 6 feet and 200 plus pounds. She did all she could to rough up any of her fellow students. She would go for the face, punch below the belt, and even throw her weight on people much smaller than her. Finally, I was able to watch this in person. I watched as she shoulder-checked a teenage girl without waiting for the round to begin. The girl had the wind knocked out of her, and she was crying and struggling not to throw up. So I intervened. "Ma'am, that was not okay. You did not wait for the signal, and you chose a partner outside of your age group." "I thought we were supposed to fight like we mean it." "That's true, but you still need to treat your partner like a partner, not an enemy." "You're not the boss of me, little boy." "I'm 22, and I was in full uniform with my black belt on, and an easily noticed patch that said instructor on the front was sewn onto my shirt. Ma'am, if you want to continue training with us, you need to respect the limitations and restrictions we place to protect you and our students." "Well, it's not my fault I'm better than everyone here. I guess God chose me to be the best." "Okay, ma'am, I'll be your partner this time. No holds barred. Show me what you can do." She rolled her eyes and got to her spot. Before the signal, she bum-rushed me. After I dodged it, I gave her a warning punch that barely grazed her. She went off like a firebomb. She began yelling profanities and slurs, trying to grab my hair, spitting on me, and throwing wild haymakers. She should have paid attention in class. Eventually, I started hitting back. I started soft, but she refused to let up. For reference, I'm 5'6" and 140 pounds on a good day. I was not doing much, but she still screamed like an insane person. She eventually started going for the face again, even using her fingernails like a cat. I gave her one good shot to the stomach, and then when she finally got her hands on me, she tried to choke me by trying to grab my neck. I had enough. I sidestepped and landed a spinning heel kick that landed right above her jaw, and she went limp and keeled over. When she came to, she tried coming at me again. Thankfully, 3 bigger guys stepped in and stopped the raging hippo. She was kicked out of the school that day. She later tried to sue the school, but her court visit had her laughed out of the room, and she ended up paying us $4,000 in damages and 60 hours of community service. The judge ruled that because she had signed a waiver, she couldn't hold the school responsible and she had no real case. To this day, that spin kick knockout was the most satisfying lesson I have ever taught. Screw you, Karen. I hope you enjoyed the hospital bell. So this was about 5 years ago. I used to live in a huge apartment with my boyfriend and his friend. The friend was single when we moved in, but soon got together with this girl. Let's call her Jessica. Our flatmate was super nice, but Jessica was something else. Soon she was staying at our place 24/7. They had their own bathroom, but I would still see her going into mine and my boyfriend's and taking everything, from my shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, all without asking. When I confronted her, she said it's because she has all of her stuff at her place. She kept doing it, thinking I did not see it. She would also eat our food, ever replacing it or even telling she ate it. I was once preparing a dessert with pineapple that I bought just for the occasion, and turns out she ate more than half of it. Jessica and her boyfriend would blast music and have loud and violent fights among each other. Anyway, I was fed up with Jessica. Around that time, me and my boyfriend were discussing how to diplomatically tell our flatmate that he and Jessica need to move out. Anyway, one morning before going to work, I'm in the kitchen making some coffee. I'm cleaning up a bit and I find a really old packaging of cocoa powder. I open it up and I'm like, oh crap, there's a cockroach larva in this. Thinking I will take it straight to the trash on my way out. I just leave it on the kitchen counter. Meanwhile, Jessica wakes up and comes to the kitchen. She doesn't even say good morning, she just goes like, oh look, cocoa, I love it. I'm about to turn around and tell her not to drink that when I see her taking my oat milk out of the fridge. At that moment I decided to say nothing, thinking it will be disappointing enough when she warms up her milk and wants to put the cocoa powder in the mug. But to my surprise she doesn't notice a larva. So I'm looking and she's happily scooping the cocoa to her mug and pouring my oat milk over it. And yes, she drinks it, and I'm in complete disbelief. And I left to work that day with a big fat smile on my face. Edit. Just wanted to emphasize this happened 5 years ago. I seen lots of people saying to tell her or kick them out. I never told her, but soon after this incident, Jessica and her boyfriend announced they are moving across the country for her work, so the problem actually solved itself. Haven't heard from either of them since. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.